Good day. I'm Glenn O'Kray. I'm with the Dearborn Historic Community. It's my pleasure to be here on this session of Through the Arsenal Gates. This program is to acquaint viewers with people who have made history, are making history, and will make history. Today we have with us a special guest, Ken Schultz. I met Ken quite by accident, and it's always fun to get going new relationships kind of that developed by accident. Ken is a very interesting person, and you're going to learn about him today. Ken, to start the conversation, tell us where you were born.
I was born in East Dearborn in a house.
In a house?
Yes, sir. I was born in my own house.
Tell us about that. How did that happen?
Well, I was adopted, and a month before I was born, my mother, Grace Schultz, got my maternal mother to live with her for a month before I was born. And when I was born, we had a neighbor that was a doctor, so he came over and delivered me. I don't know much about the lady. I never met her physically, and I know she had 2 children, and they lived in Detroit. And I believe, my mother told me that she worked at the Lincoln plant during World War II, and this woman did also for a while until she got pregnant. And after that, they became friends, and she had 2 children that didn't have a lot of money, so my parents offered to take the baby. Didn't know whether it could be a boy or a girl, but back then, 44, didn't do many ultrasounds. And they took me and raised me. I think it's the best parents a person could have. So the only thing I kind of regret was that I was the only child. And I think it's nice to have siblings around sometimes to compare notes to. But on the other hand, there are advantages. I become an adopted spoiled brat. So
yeah, I'm sure you were a gift to your parents.
Oh, I was.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Yes.
Tell us about some of the dynamics of being adopted.
Well, I really never dwelled on it very much. I was always called the adopted sweetheart from the time I could understand. And all my friends knew that I was adopted. The little boy next door, about the same age as I was, didn't find out till he was 13. And at that time, he was devastated to find out that he was adopted. I don't know why. He's lucky to have parents in his life.
Okay. Now, what schools did you attend, Ken?
I went to Oakland grade school, and then I went to Maples, and I ended up graduating from Fordson in 1963. We had half semesters back then, so I graduated in January. From there, I went on to Henry Ford Community College, as it was called then, and I graduated from there with a degree in science after quite a while, actually, because I quit going to school and had to go to work, support my family. So I had to go to night school, and it took a lot longer than during the first couple of years of day school. After that, I graduated there, and I went down to Wayne State, took classes down there in engineering. And I never did graduate from Wayne State. I just went there. And during this period of time, I also took a 10,000-hour apprenticeship at Henry Ford Trade School, as it really wasn't the trade school, it was after the trade school. It had some of the same instructors as the trade school. So they were quite firm, a good way to put it. It was quite a grueling task. It's a 4-year apprenticeship. You have to go through 10,000 hours, and you have about 600 hours of school. And from there, I graduated as a metal model maker in 1970, and I progressed up the ladder a little bit to become a leader and a temporary foreman sometimes. In '88, I had an opportunity to go into salary into the weight engineering. I always considered weight engineering to be a non-essential task, more or less. And after that, I decided, no, it's not. It's a lot of work. You have to really base a lot of the engineering on weight distribution in a vehicle. And after that, I retired in 2006 from Ford Motor Company. That was a 42-year jaunt. And I am enjoying retirement right now.
Ken, returning back to your childhood, who was the most significant person in your life?
With my needs and values, I think it was my mother, more than my father. There's a 10-year difference in their ages, and she seemed to be more in tune with my wants and needs and ideas, and as wild as they were. So she really sponsored me through most of my adult life and childhood.
Very good. And when you were 12 years old, what did you think you wanted to be?
I wanted to be an inventor.
Ah.
In a Boy's Life magazine, which I brought today, they had a robot, because I was a Boy Scout.
Did you bring that very magazine?
The very magazine.
I love it, yeah.
Now, it's not the very magazine. I found the thing 50 years later. I found the magazine. There's 3 of them at a second-hand store. 3 of them in a basket. I looked at it, it was this right date. I opened it up, and there it was. So I built this robot out of lard cans in the 6th grade, and we had a gentleman teacher, and I had put a cigarette lighter in the hand. The hands were plywood, but I put a cigarette lighter in it. And he lit a cigarette in the classroom to demonstrate how well it worked. So then in 1965 to about 1980, I built another robot. It took me about 10,000 hours to make it. I didn't know what I was doing necessarily, and no formal instruction. So I built this robot. It gave out the awards at the Detroit Science Fair, downtown Detroit. And it also, I took it around different schools for performances and stuff. And then Star Wars came out. That changed the whole ball of wax, because mine was very crude looking, and all the Star Wars robots were kind of nice. So I started another robot. And this robot I've been working on for about 30 years. And near its completion is more money or more time. So you got a division there all the way through. Either the time or the money. And everybody seems to appreciate it. It's got 2 hands, and it does quite a few things.
Now, Ken, what are some of the things that your robot does?
The first one was called MOD, M-O-D. It only had 1 arm. It's called a Mobile One-Arm Device, so I called it MOD. And it'd pour a bottle of pop and it'd answer yes or no questions. And so the children would ask me a question, and one time a child asked me if there was a Santa Claus. And the robot said, no. So I quickly had to cover that one up.
Oh, this is fascinating stuff.
Little bits of life. I still have both robots. I have many other things too that I play with and build.
Now, how did you program this robot to say yes or no?
On a tape.
Okay.
Reel-to-reel tape, and I just skipped an answer. I had yes, no, alternately recorded on the tape, and then whichever one I wanted, I just bypassed.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. All right. Very good.
It was nothing fancy. And both robots are not completed yet as far as you don't program them. I control them. Or through a radio control, like a model airplane.
What advice would you give an 18-year-old who didn't know what he wanted to do or she wanted to do for a living?
I would tell them to find something they like to do. And some employment doesn't pay us very much, other employment does, but that we have values that would increase our capability to go on in life better, having a job that we appreciated rather than one that we just have to do. So my advice would be to get a job you like and expand on it. In this day and age, there's so many things, different things a person can do and they have to get trained for. And I think that a good job is not necessarily a good job. I think a job that you like is one that's appreciated for a long time.
What are some of the jobs that you had growing up?
I shoveled snow for a dry cleaner that made his own alcohol for dry cleaning. The federal government made him close it down because it was all used for bootlegging at the time. So we had to dismantle it. I went down to Tiger Stadium and I delivered food to the hot dog stands underneath. I did football games and baseball games, delivered the food down there. That was a taxing job because I'm a small person, you know. And after that, I went to work at Mission Truck Plant in Wayne, and I was a shipping and receiving clerk. There were only two of us in the plant. But we went out and picked things up and shipped them out. And after that, I transferred to an apprenticeship program for metal model making in 1966, and I graduated in 1970 from there. The first job I had at this shop was that they were building a one-of-a-kind car called the Luxury XX. It had many innovations on it, newer innovations. And it was a totally different architecture the way they built it. So I was fortunate enough to work on it because it was one of a kind. It took us 2 years to build one car, you know.
Now this was for whom?
Ford Motor Company.
Okay.
And this car was in Road and Track magazine. I never saw it at the auto show. I understand it was at the auto show. It had electric doors opened up parallel to the body. It had an electric wristwatch right in the middle of the horn. Electric wristwatch, can you believe that? 1967, there were not a lot of those around.
That must have been fun. Great experience. Now, were all your jobs with Ford as interesting as that one?
No, a lot of it was mundane. In the metal shop, we make one-of-a-kind parts, but also if we get a line stoppage someplace on the assembly line, we'll do 5,000 parts, small parts. And I've had a couple situations like that where we weren't all interesting, kind of a mundane situation, but it was still fun to work there.
Sure, yeah.
Still fun to work there. My father was a experimental welder. We had a sister shop across from Dearborn End, there, on that side, across Oakwood from Village, the museum, on that side, which was the original shop.
So you really lucked out getting into that environment.
I did.
Matched your interests here.
Yes. I like mechanical things. I was able to build things mechanically for a purpose and money. So it worked out for me.
Now, Ken, what is your philosophy of life?
My philosophy of life is really to do no harm, make people happy, be friendly, and accomplish things that will help the world in some small way.
Cool. Now, your interest in inventing came about as a result of Popular Mechanics magazine.
Well, I had many. In grade school, I was a kind of a poor student. Because I was an only child, I wanted the affection of other children. And so I would act up to make them laugh. And the teacher didn't appreciate that, so she sent me to the library to study. Now, while at the library, Popular Mechanics had written these books in 1912 called The Boy Mechanic. The 4-volume set, and they were about that thick. All things for a boy to do. To make conventions, help things. So I consequently got interested in doing things in that nature. I still praise her to this day for doing that because I was able to study these books rather than study it in the class. So I wasn't a very good student in school, I'll say that. My mind was always someplace else. I regret some of the things to this day. Good science, math, English, no. History, somewhat. So it was reflected in my grades, naturally. In high school, I had an English class at Fortson. They had these great big high back chairs. And the teacher said, "Mr. Schultz." I said, "Yes." He said, "I don't care if you sleep in class, but please don't snore." So from that time on, I didn't snore.
Now, at Fortson, who was your favorite teacher? Do you recall?
I do not.
In my youth, I remember getting Popular Mechanics, and that was just such a great magazine. And it really had just so many interesting things in it. And I don't know if it was more attractive in that era or not, but I certainly took to it as well. Now, along the way, you were laid off from work. Was that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, I had worked for 10 years at that point. We did a lot of overtime. I had 2 small children and a lot of house payments and things. My furnace broke halfway through the winter. I had to go out and get a new furnace, which I put in myself. Plus the unknown in the situation that I really prefer to work, I guess is what I want to say.
Okay. Now, you got into an interesting hobby. Tell us about it.
In the shop, we had 200 men working in the shop. And they're all hourly, except for the supervisors. These people would work 20, 30, 40 years. They get nothing, just buy out the door. So I started making trophies, little memento to take with them. And some are very complicated, and some are pretty simple. I'd say the minimum of time I'd spend on one is probably 20 hours, and they go up from there. Except for some years, they retire 2 or 3 at a time, and I couldn't have time to make every one trophy. I probably made about 60 different trophies.
Wow,
over time.
That's significant.
In fact, the chair was for a good friend of mine, who was also my supervisor at one time.
Now, this is a barber chair.
The barber chair, yes. His wife owned a beauty shop. So he found a chair and had it reconditioned. So I thought how apropos that would be. And she had a corner of her family room set up like a beauty shop. She didn't do the hair cutting there, she just had it set up like that. They did. And that's a model of a 1906 barber chair. I think they made it for like 30 or 40 years, the same chair.
Cool.
So successful. And I make things. I'm a model railroader also, but I model in Z scale, which is very small, very small. And I developed a train, quite a large train with that, and joined several organizations just for model trains in general. At Christmas time, I have a train I set up in my front yard that models the Polar Express train. And it's a nice story about the little boy who doesn't believe in Santa.
Sure.
All the kids like it.
Excellent.
It's a nice outdoor winter activity.
Yeah. So this turned into kind of a negative motivator that people were encouraged to leave because they knew they'd get a nice farewell present from you.
Yeah.
Now, you also have a model of Nancy's Restaurant. Tell us about that.
Nancy's Restaurant was owned by my uncle down in Lima, Ohio. He had 4 daughters. One of them was named Nancy, and she's my age. The other 3 have passed away already, but they all worked in the restaurant in some capacity, along with their mother, for quite a while. Uh, I just thought it was a nice gesture. Plus, the period of time was nice, the 50s. I mean, you know, I loved to make a copy of the Sip and Nip on Telegraph, if I could find some good, reliable pictures. Now, I made several buildings. Another building I made was the dentist on Telegraph Road, Dr. Morris, the dentist, and I made his building. But he really appreciated that. I don't know why I made it for him, but it's a fluke. So,
Just for your information, ladies and gentlemen, the Sip and Nip had been a famous drive-through restaurant in the late 50s and early 60s, located on Telegraph and Sheridan. And it was taken down to widen Telegraph. But if you were cool, you got your car and you drove through there and sat low in the seat there and sneered at other people. And it was part of the ritual of growing up in the 50s and 60s. And if you check out, Ken, the Dearborn Historians, there is, I believe, a picture of the old Sip and Nip there.
yes, I have one.
Oh, all right, good. Now, Ken, you had a famous relative by marriage. Tell us who that gentleman was.
Okay, the gentleman was Edward Fisher, Dr. Edward Fisher. He grew up in Wayne, Michigan, and he started teaching in Wayne, Michigan. He finally immigrated to Dearborn after several different trips. The strange thing, out of all the reading I did not find one article, other than the fact he graduated from high school, that he ever attended college for teaching.
Oh, for teaching.
For teaching. So I don't know if he ever went there or not. Anyway, he started teaching, and he also liked to play baseball. So he went to several different farm teams around Detroit and Mount Pleasant and a couple other places. So he got, actually, I think he got paid at the time to pitch. He also went to medical school, and he went down to Wayne and went to medical school down there. It was not Wayne State University then, it was Wayne Medical College. And that was 1906. He graduated. In 1902, because he pitched baseball, he was invited down to Tiger Stadium, so he pitched one game. Actually, I don't know what the whole game, I think one inning is all he pitched down there. So he was out. And I think it was on a Saturday. On Wednesday, he started Wayne State Medical School. And he graduated Wayne State, and his brother-in-law was a doctor. And out in Wyoming, there was the Anaconda coal mines needed a doctor. So for a couple of years, he went out there, and he also played baseball out there. They stayed there quite a while because he also ran for the state legislature out there, and he was a congressman, I think, out there, a representative. So he, in the meantime, had gotten married to Cora, and who was actually one of his students at one time. So they got married. They had 3 children. One of them was my mother-in-law, Annette, and her brother Milton, and a sister Lolita. Lolita married Burnham Ford. In the 20s, she had a brain aneurysm. She taught school, but she had a brain aneurysm and passed away. And that's the last time I don't know what happened to Burnham after that. I never paid any attention to it. That's Henry Ford's nephew.
Ah.
Okay. They always had quite a thing, and they had one son, Edward Ford. And Eddie Ford and Lolita are both buried in the Ford Cemetery over in Mayfield with the rest of the Ford family. And then I never met the woman because she had passed away before I was around. But my mother-in-law, Annette, had 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. And I married the girl. Cora Lee is her name. And that was 1964, a million years ago. Oh, we have 2 children, 2 girls, and one of them works as an electrical engineer for Ford Motor Company. The other daughter is a housemaker. My wife has always been semi-understanding of my endeavors. Sometimes she's happy, sometimes she's not, because it takes time away from the family.
Ken, what is the secret to a good marriage?
Well, as my dad would say, the secret to a good marriage is a marriage that's not 50-50, it's 60-40. And the bride or groom tries to give the 60. That's what makes a good marriage.
Very good. What do you want people to say about you when you've gone to the next life?
That man could fix anything.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this session with Ken Schultz. If you enjoyed the program, tell all your friends. If you didn't enjoy it, just keep it to yourself. Thank you very much.